Hey everybody, it's Tuesday.
Oh my goodness. And it's the week of Halloween, so that is a little bit fun. And with that, Josh was just making fun of me that I didn't actually even notice the new background. So if you didn't either, that's all right. But welcome to this show. Just like everybody behind us, we have been out fishing this past weekend. And I have to say, I always look forward to the fall bite because sometimes you catch big fish, sometimes you catch a lot of fish, sometimes it's both of those things, and that's really cool. But I would say that this past weekend we had to work for it.
Yeah, I mean, we found fish. They just weren't very hungry. I think we had quite a bit of pressure changes up and down. Obviously, for us, we have about 2 inches of rain coming in the next couple days. So I think that front was just kind of slowly building up into our area. And that really kind of just messed the fish up a little bit. We've had some cool nights and then we've had some warm days and then some warm nights and cool days, and the water doesn't really know what it wants to do, so it's been hovering between mid 50s and mid 40s and just like spiking around. So yeah, I think one thing that we didn't really get to do because it was pretty windy when we were fishing was like get really small with it. And I think that would have led to a few more bites. Like I said initially, we did find fish. We saw fish on the camera on our aqua view. We saw fish on the live scope. They would come up and look at it. We did get a couple bites, but I think if we would have been able to go a little bit smaller, we probably would have produced a few more fish. But that's just how it goes sometimes.
That is how it goes sometimes. And I guess the only other thing that I have to add is compared to previous weekends, fish are staging really hard right off those deeper basins. And so they are still we have some spots with some wood that are just, I was going to say in the shallows, it's like 8 or 10 feet. So it's not really that shallow, right? But it is right adjacent to that deep water where those fish are going to be moving towards. So with that, I was going to say, I'm really looking forward to this weekend's bite, but with all the rain and everything, we're looking forward to seeing what the conditions are going to be. One of the great things though is that we have each of you. So let us know what your conditions are. Let us know how fishing is by you, because if it's great, maybe I'll come there. Just kidding. But we actually, I think I'm going to give a little bit of a hint towards the end of the show. Drop us a comment in, because I think anybody who comments tonight is going to be eligible towards possibly winning a prize. So I said too much. But if you are here, I'm interested in knowing where you're at and the conditions and all of that kind of stuff. And what else were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to piggyback on you saying leave a comment. Leave a comment in any 3 of the platforms that you're watching. I can go back. I will pull your name off, so make sure you do leave a comment no matter where you're watching.
When you say 3 platforms, what does that mean?
That is the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo page on Facebook. That is the Crappie Junction page on Facebook. And that is the Crappie Junction channel on YouTube.
Awesome. So looking forward to whatever it has to say this evening. And if you have questions or comments or things along the way, we have a really great guest with one of my favorite topics. I guess maybe that's weird as far as ice fishing, but I do really love to talk ice augers. And Nick Cox, welcome to the show.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, thank you for having. You can't get through the ice without an auger, so you're not too far off from it being one of your favorite things.
Okay, so not to jump too far ahead, because I prepared you for a whole different first question, right? But I think that's the thing, is like you have got to get through that ice to get to the fish. Like if you get there and like your auger doesn't work or something crazy, like you just can't. You can't. What are you going to chip through the ice? But I think, way back in the day, people did chip through the ice, or augers. They were very labor intensive. They took a lot of time. And I think maybe that's why I love to talk about it, is because as we I guess sometimes work the razor booth too. As we talk to people, it is so cool to see people open up to Razr augers and all of the new stuff that's out these days. So I guess before we get too far ahead of ourselves, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Razr Ice Augers?
Sure. My name is Nick. I'm with Razr Ice Augers. We're based out of Minnetonka, Minnesota, over here in the Twin Cities. We're totally looking forward to coming back out to Oshkosh, Wisconsin. We had a killer show there last year, ended up selling out of every single auger we brought. But our company is a auger company that is solely focused on the new technology with brushless drills nowadays, and basically just creating the lightest, fastest setup you can have out on the ice. equipping a Razr auger to a Milwaukee, a DeWalt, or any 18 volt or higher brushless drill. We do also offer hand augers, replacement blades, and a whole plethora of accessories. So we are a one-stop shop for everything ice augers.
So this is the perfect time. We are not quite in the ice season. This is why this is the time to prepare for it, right? But if anybody at home has questions about what kind of auger or what setup or whatever, we are here, I think, to cover a lot of those things tonight. So I guess my first question is, in the world of augers, there's a lot to talk about. Where do we start?
Well, I guess, for the first, piece of this is like, everybody's going to electric, right? What does that mean? And I think the story is kind of becoming a little stale now of like, oh, you don't have to mix oil and gas. I mean, a lot of us that are out there being a mobile angler, we're not using gas loggers, and we haven't been for quite some time now. And that kind of flipped over into, what do you go from gas? You go to a big lithium powerhouse auger. It's got a lot of, beef or meat on the bones. It's heavy duty. They're all heavy duty. But they're heavier. They're more expensive. The batteries, they sit on the shelf. That's, for what, 7, 8, 9 months out of the year, depending on where you're at in the ice belt. So we are taking things in full steam ahead with, like I said, brushless drill augers, the lightest possible setup, no oil, no gas, great warranties from these drill companies out there, great battery prices. You can get them anywhere, not proprietary to just an auger company. But the augers have come a long way. So when you started, you said, how do you get through? Do you just chip a hole through? Well, yeah, you chip a hole, a spoon auger. I mean, they've come a long ways. The one thing is you'll never look down and see a square hole at the end of the auger. They're all going to cut a circle hole. They're all going to get you through the ice. It's just a matter of kind of piecing together what you want for your applicable situation.
I am loving this perspective that you're talking about, this whole evolution, because in the world of ice fishing, I mean, you have like a pole, you have some line, you have a jig, you catch some fish, you have some fun on whatever. But as far as technology, and again, I know that things are changing fast in a lot of areas of ice fishing, technology changes, but I would say that augers is maybe the field where if you blink, if you had 2 bad ice seasons in a row, and you might come back, all those products that you knew 2 years ago could be different now because technology is changing so quickly and there are so many new options. And so I think one of the things in the past is people were also afraid of plastic augers. So right now we're using batteries. That makes people nervous with the cold. Is it actually even plastic? Can you address some of these things that people are going to ask about?
Yeah, I mean, the mobile angler just wants everything lighter. They want to be quicker. They want to be faster. So augers naturally just have to evolve. So the days of your steel augers, 8, 9 pounds for an 8-inch auger, just the drill bit alone, those days are gone. They're still available. They're nothing beats a steel auger in terms of longevity, quality. They're maintenance free, but for the most part, with synthetic resins and what you've got going on with the molds, we're replacing heavy steel flighting with plastic. And the plastic on an auger for Razr is where plastic should be, and metal is where metal should be. So, on a Razr Ice Auger, down at the business end where the blades are mounted to, that is all steel. That's a steel blade carrier or blade carriage. That controls the pitch of the auger, that controls the pitch of the blades. But when you move up from there and you're actually not, having any impact with the hole or any cutting, everything else is plastic on the way up. And what that's doing, it's just spiraling shavings out of the hole, bringing them alongside so you don't have slush in the hole. But that's the only sole purpose of these flutes. And it's light years ahead of where they were, 15 years ago. These types of augers came, to the forefront. People were putting them on gas augers. It wasn't making a huge difference. The drill business wasn't the same as it was 10 years ago. It's light years ahead now. So now we're in this prime time of like, hey, we got super lightweight, super fast cutting augers, and we're pairing them with really high quality name brand, power heads. Whether, again, like I said, it's a DeWalt, a Milwaukee, it doesn't matter. as long as you're hitting those specs, you're going to have a great experience with this style of auger. And it's not just an early season type deal. Look at that light style, that light auger. I love carrying around a whole piece of equipment that's less than 10 pounds for an 8-inch auger with a 12 amp hour battery. That's more powerful than anything else out there on the market. I love carrying that around from early ice all the way till my last bout out there. They work great. The last 2 seasons, we haven't seen a lot of ice in the ice belt. Certain regions and high elevation lakes and Rocky Mountain states, those guys have been having phenomenal years, record cold. But here in the Midwest and along the Great Lakes region, you have to think about the necessity and the need to drill through 36 or 45 inches of ice. You're just not going to need it right now. I mean, things can change, but I think a lot of people will look back and tell you, take Michigan, for example. They can remember 10 years back on Houghton Lake, Michigan, where you needed a, 8 or 12 inch extension just to get through the ice midwinter. And it's not been like that for years. So, don't get fooled into big shiny things that have huge price tags, because the amount of times you actually get to use the thing also, comes into play too, right? The cost per hole. So
okay, well, and I think that this is a perfect time for a question that came in, and there's a few of them, so I promise we'll get to all of you. But Anthony is saying he still has a gas auger. He is thinking about switching, making the lighter change, and thinking of going with a hand drill type auger. What are your thoughts on them? So I imagine that you have quite a few thoughts on this. Where do we start?
Well, I would just say, first and foremost is like, Anthony, I think about the style of fishing you're doing. So are you somebody that's using machine to get out on the lake, or are you walking? Are you using a vehicle to drive out? Or are you a wheelhouse angler? I mean, an auger is an auger, right? So everyone's going to put the hole in the ice. But from there, you can think about what size you need. And, do I need an 8-inch because everybody else is buying it? Maybe a 7-inch razor would be a good fit. But really, it's just personal preference. I think, if you're fishing on the ice, we've got an auger to meet your needs. So whether you want a hand crank or an entry level, really affordable auger, we've got those flat style blade hand augers, which is what a lot of the industry uses, is flat style blades. Those are on our entry level augers. And then from there, we've got our curved hand augers. We've got our Scout kit, the Light, the Ultra. So we've got about 5 or 6 different lines to choose from, which is really nice. But yeah.
Okay. I was going to say one more thing. And this is kind of a nuance of words, so I don't mean to be so nitpicky, but the other thing is he said a hand drill type auger. And to me at an expo, that's worth a conversation, because to me, like, a hand auger and a drill auger are probably 2 different things, because a hand auger is like that old fashioned where you turn. So do you still offer handles?
Yep, we do offer hand augers. So there are many regions outside of, the Midwest where you're only going to get 6 to 8 inches of ice on a great year. And so lithium powered augers, a lot of brushless augers, these things are overkill for these certain areas in these regions. And so we do offer hand augers, the flat blade style and the curved blade style. Flat blade hand auger, you're going to have to push down a little harder to get the hole going. It's going to be a little bit more fatiguing to get the hole through the ice. On a curved blade auger, that same technology with the curved blades goes through every Scout, synthetic light, or Ultra that we offer. It's the curved blade. So you put a little downward pressure, the tool does the work. It draws itself through the ice like a deck screw. And then we've got the Scout kit. So if you're an angler that you're thinking, well, I don't do a lot of ice fishing, I might want to drill in the future, or maybe you're just getting started, we offer a Scout kit, $114.99 for an 8-inch unit. That's going to get you the Scout that goes on the drill, and then you've also got the hand auger handle to adapt to it. So you got the best of both worlds. And there is one big difference between, a hand auger by definition and an auger that's ready for a brushless drill. And on every single auger that we manufacture outside of our hand augers, we offer a center point on them. So I'll just give you it's got our catalog here. So in this picture here, you see this little black point between the blades. That's a center point. That's going to keep you plumb and centered. You're not going to move around or skate around the hole when you're starting. It's a safety thing, but it's also keeps that precision cut, versus like a hand auger. Same style blade carriage, curved blades, no center point. So there will never ever be a center point on anything that you're powering by hand. You'll just never have the RPMs to where it becomes a safety issue. So that's the only thing I would say is, if you're looking at hand augers versus brushless drill augers, just take a look at, what you're going to be using predominantly. If you're going to actually put that thing onto a brushless drill, take a look at any of our augers that are built for the brushless drills. You won't be let down. That's what everybody is using, but we do have a lot of people that are converting hand augers to brushless drills. They have components and parts and accessories out there for it, but that's the risk you run, is there is no center point. It wasn't designed for that. So, keep your boots a fair distance from the cutting blades while they're spinning.
Well, and I want to thank everybody for putting in your comments, because like we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we are probably doing a giveaway sometimes. So
something orange, something orange for Halloween, maybe.
So keep putting those comments in there if you're just tuning in. But I just want to touch on this topic really quick because, Anthony, it's a great question. And from an angling standpoint, I really believe in the fact that making the switch away from gas for me has really helped in the scent department, right? You're not getting that gas or the oil on your hands.
Or jacket.
You're not getting the exhaust fumes on your clothes. You're not spilling all of those liquids and stuff in your sled with all of the rest of your gear. It just really takes that whole element out of the fishing for you, and it makes it a lot easier. There with the electric stuff, there isn't very much maintenance. With the hand stuff, there's zero maintenance. Besides just making sure your blades are sharp. And so I really do believe that if you made that switch, you would be. I haven't really heard anybody regret making that switch.
You're mentioning blades, though, and that's one thing that Nick was also talking about. There are some flat blades, there are some curved blades, but there is a question also about blades. So for somebody who might be in a hard house who is continuously reopening old holes, what is the best blade to go with for that?
So before we were really focused on the brushless power, the brushless drill game right now, and kind of what we're looking to do with our brand. We did have gas augers. We did have 40-volt lithium augers, 24-volt lithium augers. And in the past, everybody was coached, you need a chipper style blade to go and reopen old holes or frozen holes that you're coming back to, whether it's 2 days or a week or 2 weeks later. When you're in a nice house or you're fishing a hole that's like the spot on the spot, you can't even be 6 inches off to the side. You got to be right there. It does a lot. It takes a lot for an auger to drill through that. Couple things, though, that are nice with brushless drills, and any of the Razr augers any of our 6-inch and 8-inch units, you can re-drill holes with the brushless drill. Gas power heads and a lot of lithium power heads never had variable speeds. So in the past, you go down there and you try to re-drill a hole with curved blades and it would just bind up. I mean, you'd have a bad experience. So that's why these companies said no curved blades. Curved blades are for fresh ice. Chipper blade, one single chipper blade bit is good for old ice or re-drilling holes. But now that our drills have variable speeds, we can get that hole centered right in the fish house, start slow, a couple rotations. And then once the blades start to bite into the ice and you start to see the shavings, then you can actually give it some throttle and actually get through that hole very easily. One thing that makes it super easy to re-drill holes or fresh ice with any of our synthetic ultras, our lights, or our scouts is our Ice-Wing technology. And Ice-Wing technology is on the bottom. I'll grab an auger here in a second, but Ice-Wing technology is on the bottom of our carriage, and it creates a super smooth drilling experience, one that you probably have never had when you're on an ice auger, especially with a brushless drill, because they are a bit faster and lighter. You have a little bit different footprint for your hands, so you tend to feel things in the ice, whether if you bind up or something like that. With the Ice-Wings, though, it's literally in and out, so smooth. You don't even know that you broke through that last final layer of ice. But the Ice-Wings are crucial for allowing us to re-drill the hole. So
this is my favorite part. Honestly, this is my favorite part.
This is actually one of those things too that we got to mention that Razr, being a company solely focused on ice auger technology, right? There's so many companies that have ice augers in addition to the rest of their products. Razr has ice augers. And this is the kind of technology that you get when you have a company focused on doing something really good and providing their customers with really good products instead of just a product.
This is the only thing we make. We don't make fish houses. We don't make rods. We don't make buckets. We don't make tackle. We don't make lines. We don't make accessories, widgets, gizmos, any of that. We focus solely on ice augers. And actually, my business partner has been focusing on ice augers for the past 35 years. You know, so we have a strong history in this business. We're just a newer consumer-facing brand in the last 5-6 years. But this is our steel blade carriage with our synthetic flutes, our plastic flutes, like we were talking earlier. You've got the center point you can see there, right here in the middle. And then these tabs, if I can get that, these tabs here and right here are the ice wings. So this thing hasn't been used for a year. It's a little dusty right now, but that's okay.
We cannot tell that from here.
But you can kind of totally see what that's doing. It's guiding the auger through. It's not allowing anything to hit on the outside edge or the inside edge of the ice, any exterior piece of anything. And so this has been a real winner. Everybody that's tried a Razr with the ice wings has had great things to say. It's very hard to hear somebody complain about the ice wings. And hey, we're outdoors people. So when something doesn't work, we complain about it, right? I mean, that's just the reality and the nature of who we are, wanting to have things work when we get them or spend our money and we're out there in the field or whatever we're doing.
Well, and I you know, as somebody sitting here probably using ice augers as long as you have, Nick, I can tell you this, for the number of holes I've put in on the hobby side of my life and on my business side, you know, doing water sampling in the winter, the first time I used those ice wings, I had to drill another hole like immediately after, because it was like, oh, that's a fluke. Like you get one of those, you know, every once in a while you get a nice hole and you're like, oh, that was really nice. And then, but I tried it with the ice wing and you drilled it and it was like, oh, well, that was amazing. And then you did it again. You're like, and it just keeps happening. And now it's like, it's
just funny when you look down and you
awesome.
See water coming up and
yeah,
I'm through. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
No, it's ice wings are super popular, you know. And
while you're talking about ice wings though, I mean, you have several models of augers behind you. So do they all have ice wings? Can you walk us through you know, what the options are?
Yeah, so this is the Ultra. This is our full length traditional auger. This is comparable to if you were walking into a store and you look at the auger section, you see light flight, K-drill, pistol bit. This is the equivalent, okay? Then we've got some unique things at Razr, which a lot of people are starting to do in the auger space and kind of taking a cue from the new guys, right? But we also offer a fully adjustable auger. So when you look at these two augers side by side, you can see this one's got less material, right? It's lesser flutes. It looks a little shorter, but they're actually the same height when drilling. This auger here is the synthetic light. This auger will collapse down to 31 inches. Super, super nice for backpacking in, walking in, can convert. You're ready for the brushless drill, pull this out, put a hand auger handle in. You've got the lightest hand auger on the market. Great for folks in, you know, the Rocky Mountain states and high elevation where they're walking in. We've got a guy, Shane DuBois. He does that a lot. He sends me pictures all the time. I said, that looks grueling. I would never even do it. If I have to hand drill, I don't know if I'm going. And then we've got our fully metal Razr Scout. So the synthetic light that I just had in my hands, that's this model here, is built off this platform. So adjustable down to 31 inches, up to 42, can drill through 36 inches of ice. The metal version is a little heavier. It's got a better warranty, a 5-year warranty, because it's metal, and it's a lower price point for the consumer. So we've got just about everything ranging down from $195.99 full retail price for our 8-inch Ultra down to $114.99 for an 8-inch Scout. and the prices land in there in between. But you'll get the Ice Wings on the Scout, the Light, and the Ultra, both 6-inch and 8-inch models.
So we have Troy mentioning that he's building his first Smitty sled, trying to stay as light as possible. So if he's looking at the 8-inch and he has a Milwaukee brushless, based on what we were just talking about, which would you recommend?
So, I mean, you know, if you're pulling it out and you're on a Smitty sled, I mean, weight right there would seem to be something that I'd be thinking about, right? No, I've never pulled on a Smitty sled, but I think those things glide pretty easily over snow and everything. But weight comes into play. So if you're looking at an Ultra 8-inch, the full size unit, depending on the size of your sled, you know, it might fit a little funny in there, but that's going to be a 5.9 pound unit. If you're looking at an 8-inch Ultra, that's going to be a 5 pound unit, or I'm sorry, an 8-inch Light, that'll be a 5 pound unit. And then from there, I mean, you've got your brushless drill, but you've got anywhere from a 5 amp hour battery, and they've got the new Forge batteries which are really nice, lighter weight, and then you've got the 12 amp hour. So it's really subjective. If you were to go out there with just the lightest battery, a 5 amp hour battery, your drill and your auger, and say a synthetic light 8-inch unit, you're going to be under just pushing 10 pounds maybe. And that's very important. And it goes back to like how this stuff has evolved. I mean, the average lithium and gas unit ranges from like 15 pounds to 28 pounds. So right off the bat, I mean, you can already see the savings are going to be, you know, you're almost cutting certain things in half. You know,
well, and if you're using your drill to like put in ice anchors or to do this or that, I mean, you have gear that starts to be multi-purpose. And so that weight almost kind of cuts itself down after that. You know, it's like so necessary at that point that you're just, you know, excited to bring it all, which is kind of funny.
And, you know, not to mention that too, you with all the stuff you can do with your drill out on the ice, these tools are things that I'm using in my garage here 12 months out of the year. I mean, I used to have to sit and look at my Razr 40-volt lithium batteries sitting for 9 months out of the year, waiting to get used, thinking, okay, it's not good for the battery. The batteries should be used to keep them, you know, in tip-top maintenance and tip-top shape and memory and everything else like that. So you have to consider, I mean, you're getting kind of a smaller tool you can put away when ice isn't existing, right? That's the auger. It's compactable. It's small. And then for the rest of the months out of there, you can go ahead and use those batteries, and you're not, you know, tying up too much money in something that's not getting any attention or use.
All right. So I know that we are a little bit short on time this evening, which is just fine. But I think that we have something that we were talking about right before the end of the show. Are we able to do a giveaway this show? Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah. Yes. Before we do that, I just want to say thanks for having me on here. It's a couple nights before Halloween, so my kids are going to be probably coming in here at any moment. You'll probably start hearing them yell. So I'm just trying to be courteous. You probably don't want to hear my kids yelling, but we're looking forward to being out at the Ice Fishing Expo in Wisconsin. We will be in all of the retailers' booths this year. Last year, you could only find us in a couple. So we will be in every retailer's booth there. Go and ask for Razr. Come talk to us. Come say hello to us. For this show here, we are going to give away something orange, and I don't want to say it's really spooky. It's kind of a trick and a treat, but we're going to give away a synthetic Ultra 6-inch auger. Josh and Emily, I'll let them sort it out and pick from one of our wonderful audience members. And then I will be glad to ship that out as soon as I have a name and shipping address from Josh and Emily. And I hope you enjoy your auger to the lucky winner.
So I think we are going to run this through Halloween of this year. And I think actually we're going to come on and do a little episode. We might not even have a guest, but we are going to be able to announce that winner at that point. So that is going to be so super exciting. Anybody who comments in this episode is going to be eligible to win. So we're excited to hear where you're watching from or what you have to talk about. Yeah. Nick, thank you so much for your time and talking about all these things. I was going to ask about the shows and expos you were going to be at, but you covered that. So is there anything else that we missed?
Yeah, I'm looking through these comments, and there's so many good questions. Some of them that we don't have time to talk about right now, but I definitely encourage everybody to go check out Razor Power or RazrIceAugers.com and check out our blog post and search. If you have questions, what drill models, any of that, we've got over 300, 400 blog posts on our website with tips, tricks, little ways you can piece things together, blade sharpening. We've got everything out there that somebody that wants to learn about ice augers could go ahead and just spend a whole couple days in. So please go to our website, search your questions on there. You'll find the information. If you have any other questions, you can call us, you can email us, or you can just get a hold of us again at RazrIceAugers.com.
And we will be responding to some of these comments in the comment section as well, because we use and love the Razr Ice Augers too. So can speak from a little bit of experience. But to everybody at home, we had a whole bunch of fun. Thank you for being here. Nick, thank you for being here. This was...
I'm going to throw in a new Razor patch hat too.
Oh, I need one of those.
Put it in the auger box.
For you, he said for the giveaway.
I'll put it in the auger box and we'll make the deal even a little sweeter here.
Sweet.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you very much.
One of our viewers is going to be lucky, and we're looking forward to seeing who this coming Thursday. And otherwise, looking forward to seeing everybody then.
Night, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you.